Mark's hands trembled as he stepped out of his boss's office, tears streaming down his face. The other employees froze, their curious stares turning to gasps as they witnessed something none of them had ever seen before, their stoic colleague completely breaking down. What his boss had just revealed would change not only Mark's life, but the lives of everyone in that office forever. If you're moved by stories of unexpected kindness and second chances, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming real-life stories that remind us of the good in humanity. The alarm blared at 5:30 a.m., and Mark Wilson's hand shot out from under the covers to silence it before it woke Lily. He lay there for just a moment, gathering the strength to face another day. At 42, his body protested the early hours more than it used to, but he had no choice. Being both mom and dad to his 8-year-old daughter meant there was never enough time in the day. Mark slipped out of bed and padded quietly to the bathroom, catching his reflection in the mirror. The dark circles under his eyes had become permanent fixtures, and the gray at his temples had multiplied over the past year. He splashed cold water on his face, trying to wash away the exhaustion that no amount of sleep seemed to cure. By 6:15, he was in the kitchen, preparing Lily's lunch while simultaneously making breakfast and ironing his shirt. The morning routine was a carefully choreographed dance he'd perfected since Sarah's death 18 months ago. Cancer had taken his wife quickly and mercilessly, leaving him to raise their daughter alone while drowning in medical debt. "Daddy?" Lily appeared in the doorway, her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest, her dark hair a tangled mess around her face. She had Sarah's eyes, deep brown and thoughtful. "Morning, sunshine," Mark said, forcing brightness into his voice. "Ready for pancakes?" Lily nodded sleepily and climbed onto a kitchen chair. "Is Mrs. Peterson coming today?" Mark flipped a pancake and nodded. "Yes, she'll pick you up from school and stay until I get home." He felt the familiar pang of guilt. Mrs. Peterson, their elderly neighbor, watched Lily most afternoons while Mark worked overtime at Meridian Technologies. The arrangement wasn't ideal, but it was all he could manage. "I wish you could pick me up," Lily said quietly, poking at her pancake with her fork. Mark's heart clenched. "I know, sweetheart. I wish that too. But Daddy has to work so we can have nice things, like pancakes and that new backpack you wanted." What he didn't say was that he was working overtime to keep up with the mortgage, the medical bills, and the countless other expenses that threatened to drown them. Meridian Technologies paid well, but not well enough for a single parent in the city. Still, he was grateful for the job. As a mid-level systems analyst, he'd been there for nearly a decade, and the stability was something he clung to desperately. After dropping Lily at school, Mark arrived at the office at 8:15. Earlier than most of his colleagues. He liked the quiet morning hour to catch up on emails before the chaos of the day began. The office was a modern, open-plan space with glass-walled conference rooms and sleek workstations. Mark's desk was in the corner, adorned only with a framed photo of Lily and a small cactus that somehow survived his neglect. "Morning, Wilson," called Derek from the neighboring desk as he arrived. "Ready for the Henderson presentation meeting?" Mark nodded, already pulling up the files he'd prepared the night before, after Lily had gone to bed. "Been ready since yesterday." The morning passed in a blur of meetings and code reviews. Mark was respected at Meridian for his thoroughness and reliability. He wasn't the most innovative team member, but he was steady, and in the tech world, that counted for something. At lunch, while others went out to nearby restaurants, Mark ate his sandwich at his desk, using the time to call Mrs. Peterson and check on the arrangements for Lily. He was just hanging up when his phone buzzed with a text from his daughter's school. "Lily in nurse's office. Low-grade fever. Please pick up when possible." Mark's stomach dropped. He couldn't leave. Not today. Not with the Henderson presentation happening in an hour. He was about to call Mrs. Peterson back when his desk phone rang. "Mark, can you come to my office?" It was Catherine Reeves, the company's CEO. Her tone was unreadable. "Now?" Mark asked, his mind racing between Lily's situation and the unexpected summons. "Yes, please. It won't take long." Mark hung up, his anxiety spiking. In his 10 years at Meridian, he'd spoken directly to Catherine maybe 3 times. She ran the company from the top floor and rarely interacted with employees below director level. What could she possibly want with him? As he made his way to the elevator, he texted Mrs. Peterson again, asking if she could possibly pick up Lily from school. The three dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. The elevator doors opened to the executive floor before he got a response. Catherine's assistant, a polished young man with a perpetually serious expression, nodded at Mark. "Go right in. She's expecting you." Mark straightened his tie and entered the spacious corner office. Catherine stood by the window, her back to the door. At 55, she was an imposing figure in the tech industry, having built Meridian from a startup to a major player in enterprise software. Her silver-streaked dark hair was pulled back in her signature tight bun, and her charcoal suit looked custom-made. "Mark, thank you for coming up," she said, turning to face him. "Please, sit down." Mark perched on the edge of one of the sleek visitor chairs, his mind racing. Was this about the Henderson project? Had he made some critical error? Or worse, with the rumors of restructuring floating around, was this a layoff? He couldn't lose this job. Not now. Not with everything else he was juggling. "I'll get straight to the point," said Catherine, sitting across from him. "I've been reviewing personnel files, and yours caught my attention." Mark's mouth went dry. "Is there a problem with my work?" Catherine's expression softened slightly, which only confused Mark more. "No, quite the opposite. Your performance reviews have been consistently excellent, but what caught my eye was something else." She paused, studying him. "You've taken no vacation days in the past 18 months. You've worked overtime every week, and according to HR, you've never once used the company's family leave benefits." Mark shifted uncomfortably. I need the hours," he said simply. Catherine nodded slowly. "I know about your wife, Mark. I'm very sorry for your loss." The unexpected sympathy caught him off guard. "Thank you," he managed. "I also know you're raising your daughter alone, and that can't be easy while working the hours you do." Mark's phone buzzed in his pocket, probably Mrs. Peterson responding about Lily, but he didn't dare check it now. "We manage," he said, wondering where this conversation was heading.
Catherine leaned forward. "Mark, I'm going to be direct. The company is indeed restructuring, as I'm sure you've heard." Mark's heart sank. Here it was, the layoff he'd been dreading. "But that's not why I called you here," Catherine continued. "I called you here because I want to offer you a new position." Mark blinked. "A new position?" "Yes, we're creating a work-life balance initiative, and I want you to head it up. It would mean a significant promotion, a 30% salary increase, and, most importantly, flexible hours." Mark stared at her, certain he'd misheard. "I don't understand. I'm not in HR. I'm a systems analyst." Catherine smiled. "You're also someone who clearly understands the challenges of balancing work and family responsibilities. The initiative needs someone who's lived it, not just studied it. And your technical background means you can help us implement the systems to make flexible work actually function for our teams." Mark's mind raced. A promotion? More money? Flexible hours? It seemed too good to be true. "Why me?" he asked, still suspicious. Catherine's expression grew more serious. "Because I was you, Mark. 20 years ago, I was a single parent trying to build a career while raising a child. The difference was I had resources and support. Not everyone does. Meridian needs to do better for its employees, and I think you're the right person to help us get there." Mark's phone buzzed again, more insistently this time. "I'm sorry, my daughter's school called earlier. She's sick, and I need to check if my neighbor can pick her up." "Go ahead," Catherine said, gesturing to his phone. Mark pulled it out to find 3 messages from Mrs. Peterson. "Sorry, at doctor's appointment. Can't pick up Lily. Did you find someone else?" His heart raced. He had no one else to call. His parents lived across the country, and Sarah's family had never been in the picture. He looked up at Catherine, panic rising. "I'm sorry, I need to go. My daughter."
"Go," Catherine said immediately. "We can continue this conversation tomorrow." Mark stood, torn between relief at her understanding and anxiety about what this meant for the opportunity she just presented. "Thank you. Mark," Catherine interrupted gently, "this is exactly why we need this initiative. Go take care of your daughter. The job will still be here." As Mark hurried out of the office, his mind was spinning. He texted his team about the Henderson presentation, asking Derek to cover for him, then rushed to the elevator. As the doors closed, his phone rang. The school again. "Mr. Wilson, Lily's fever has gone up. We're a bit concerned." "I'm on my way," Mark said, his parental worry now overshadowing everything else. The drive to the school took 20 minutes that felt like 20 hours. When he arrived, Lily was curled up on a cot in the nurse's office, her face flushed and her eyes glassy. "Daddy," she said weakly as he entered, reaching for him. "I'm here, Sunshine," he said, gathering her into his arms. Her small body felt too warm against his chest. The nurse approached with a clipboard. "Her temperature is 102.3. It came on suddenly during math class. She should see a doctor." Mark nodded, already mentally calculating which urgent care center their insurance would cover and how much the copay would be. Another expense they didn't need. But Lily's health came first. 3 hours later, they were home from the doctor with a diagnosis of strep throat and a prescription for antibiotics. Mark had tucked Lily into bed with her favorite stuffed animals and a promise to check on her every hour. Now he sat at the kitchen table, staring at his laptop screen, trying to focus on the work he'd brought home, but finding his mind returning to Catherine's offer. Flexible hours would mean he could be there for Lily when she needed him. The salary increase would ease the constant financial pressure. But a promotion also meant more responsibility, possibly more stress. Could he handle it? Was he setting himself up for failure? His phone rang, displaying Derek's number. "Hey," Mark answered, bracing for bad news about the Henderson presentation.
"Dude, what the hell happened today?" Derek's voice was animated. "The whole office is buzzing. Catherine Reeves pulled you into her office, you came out looking like you'd seen a ghost, and then you disappeared. Are you okay?" Mark sighed. "Lily got sick. I had to leave to pick her up." "Yeah, I covered the Henderson thing, no problem. But what did Reeves want? People are saying everything from you're getting fired to you're getting promoted to CTO. Mark almost laughed at the wild speculation. "Neither. She offered me a promotion to head up some new work-life balance initiative." There was a pause on the other end. "Seriously? Wow, that's amazing, Mark. But why you? I mean, no offense, but you work more hours than anyone." "That's what I asked her," Mark admitted. "She said something about understanding the challenges firsthand." Derek was quiet for a moment. "You know, that makes sense. Everyone sees how hard you've been working since Sarah died, how you never complain, never ask for help, just keep pushing through. Maybe that's exactly why she picked you." Mark hadn't thought of it that way. Had his struggle been so visible to everyone? He tried so hard to keep his personal life separate from work, to be the reliable employee who never brought problems to the office. "Listen," Derek continued, "whatever you decide, the team's got your back. And if you need anything for Lily, just say the word. Emma and I can bring over some dinner, or I can cover your meetings tomorrow if you need to stay home." The offer of help, so simple and genuine, brought a lump to his throat. "Thanks, Derek. I appreciate that." After hanging up, Mark checked on Lily, who was sleeping fitfully, her forehead still warm. He adjusted her blankets and returned to the kitchen, where he found himself staring at Sarah's photo on the refrigerator. It was from their last vacation together, before the diagnosis. She was laughing, her hair blowing in the beach wind, her arms around both him and Lily. "What would you do?" he whispered to the photo. "Am I crazy to even consider taking on more at work?"
But as he asked the question, he realized something. Catherine wasn't asking him to work more. She was offering him a chance to work differently, to help create a system where parents like him wouldn't have to choose between being there for their children and keeping their jobs. The next morning, Lily's fever had broken, but Mark called the school to say she'd be staying home. Then he called the office. "Mr. Wilson," Catherine's assistant answered. "Miss Reeves was hoping to hear from you. Can you hold for her?" A moment later, Catherine's voice came on the line. "Mark, how's your daughter?" The genuine concern in her voice surprised him again. "Better this morning, thank you, but I'll need to stay home with her today." "Of course," Catherine said without hesitation. "Family comes first. Have you had a chance to think about our conversation?" Mark took a deep breath. I have. I'd like to accept the position, but I need to be honest about something first. Go ahead. I'm not sure I'm the right person for this. I haven't exactly been a model of work-life balance. I've been barely keeping my head above water. Catherine's laugh was warm and unexpected. Mark, that's exactly why you're the right person. You understand the struggle in a way someone who's always had it easy never could. You know what needs to change because you've lived with the system as it is. Mark glanced toward Lily's bedroom, where she was propped up in bed with books at her tablet. If I take this job, I want to make real changes, not just policy on paper, but actual support for parents and caregivers. Flexible schedules that really work, remote options that don't penalize people's careers, emergency childcare resources. That's exactly what I want too, Catherine said. When can you start? I need a few days with Lily first, Mark said, feeling strange about setting boundaries with the CEO, but knowing it was necessary. Take the rest of the week, Catherine said immediately. We'll announce the position on Monday and have your new office ready.
After hanging up, Mark sat for a long moment, processing the conversation. Then he went to Lily's room and sat on the edge of her bed. "How are you feeling, Sunshine?" "Better," she said, though her voice was still raspy. "Can you stay home again tomorrow?" Mark smiled and brushed her hair back from her forehead. "Yes, and guess what? I got a new job at my company, one that means I can be home more often, maybe even pick you up from school some days." Lily's eyes widened. "Really? You won't have to work late anymore?" "Not as much," Mark promised. "Things are going to be different now." The following Monday, Mark arrived at the office to find his belongings had already been moved to a new office on the executive floor. The glass door had a nameplate, Mark Wilson, Director of Employee Well-Being. Inside, on the desk, was a framed photo he didn't recognize, a professional portrait of him and Lily that must have been taken from his social media. As he stood there, taking it all in, Catherine appeared in the doorway. "Ready for your first day?" she asked. "Almost, but first I need to understand something. Why did you really choose me for this? There must have been more qualified candidates." Catherine stepped into the office and closed the door. "When my husband died 20 years ago, leaving me with a 3-year-old son and a fledgling company, I nearly gave up everything. I was working around the clock, missing my child's life, drowning in grief and responsibility. One day, my old boss, the man who gave me my first job in tech, saw what was happening and created a position for me that let me build my career without sacrificing my family." She paused, her usual composure slipping just slightly.